That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
You locked me in a library for my entire childhood, and you think I'm gonna come out chill?
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to D&D Beyond Live. We sure are happy to see you, and we're so excited to be here today. Aabria Iyengar, welcome. Thank you so much for coming.
Hi, frequent wizard apologist Aabria Iyengar here.
I am so happy to hear it. I've been out here defending wizards.
Company.
All day. It's what
all
I do.
Day,
I
every
love
day.
it.
Tell us a little bit about this world you're playing in, like what it's like from your perspective, what it's like from your character's perspective. Love to hear it.
Yeah, so our first campaign is The Wizard, the Witch, and the Wild One, and it takes place in the world of Umora, which is a beautiful, vibrant world entirely of Brendan Lee Mulligan's creation. So the three of us play characters that each have a different perspective on the world, where Lou Wilson, who plays Ursulon, is from the sort of world of spirits that exists next to and behind and beneath the human world of Umora. Erica, playing the witch, is the sort of bridge between both worlds, given big Studio Ghibli and Avatar energy. And yes. Suvi, the wizard, is absolutely like a creature of the human world. She's one from one of the three big warring factions, the Kamzarazan Empire, and she's our little soldier. So it feels really good to have a character that, as you're sort of meeting everyone, as you're meeting them as adults, especially, which is going to happen in episode 1, if we have characters who are experiencing the world for the first time, it's nice to have a character that's very grounded and understands the way the world works and can explain it and be of it and in it and kind of give you that glimpse via her bearing and countenance. What I'm trying to say, she's kind of a butt, just like a little bit of the world. So
listen, you play a wizard, you've got to make him a little bit of a butt,
I have no idea how to play a purely kind wizard. I'm like, oh, if you're a nice wizard, you're a cleric.
I don't know how to do that either. I don't know how to do that. I'm thinking about all the wizards that I have played, and no, they are definitely butts.
Just like a little bit is a treat. My highest
fun.
Stat is not the one that makes me cool with people.
No. And you know what? You've studied so much, you deserve to be a little bit of a butt, right? Isn't that how it works?
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
You locked me in a library for my entire childhood, and you think I'm going to come out chill?
No.
Grounded?
Not. No. I do want to point to something that you mentioned in passing there, where you mentioned Suvi as an adult. There's something really fun that y'all did for Worlds Beyond Number that I don't think that I've really seen very often. Do you want to tell us a little bit about Children's Adventure?
Yes. So we've been developing this project and this story for quite a while over at Worlds Beyond Number headquarters. And as we were kind of trying to figure out, like, this is our home game, this is our time to spend time together, what if we kind of luxuriate in the creation of our characters in a way that all of us who do APs are like, hey, you got like one session 0, everyone shows up to character gen, you figure out what you're doing, and then you hit the ground running. We're like, what if we took our time? And then we kind of got to the idea that because, again, the works of like Hayao Miyazaki were so deeply and children's storytelling and that sort of Americana, like fairy tale myth set was so like foundational for what we wanted to do. We're like, well, what if we see them as children for a little bit? And maybe it's just for us. Maybe we figure out kind of where the characters are leaning and walk in those steps that help inform what the adult is like. And we'll just knock around for a couple hours and we'll kind of figure it out, play as little level 0 characters. Cut to 10 hours later. It's actually longer. It was edited down by our delightful editor, Taylor.
All in one session? Or did y'all like...
Listen, we've all been over... So we recorded it together. We're like, well, this is actually a very fun idea. Like, well, what if we just record it and see what we do? This is over 2 days of like 6 to 8 hour days of recording where we would like record, take a little break, record, take a little break. And then we came back months later when we were like, okay, it's time to start recording the adult campaign. And we're like, yeah, but we could like do the children's adventure like a little more. I think like I don't feel like done yet. So we recorded a ton of the children's adventure, and it's been winnowed down to 10 hours of power that is going to come out and be a Patreon exclusive. So if you subscribe on Patreon, you can listen to the origins of all three, and you can hear it's a really fun integration, and I'm so like proud of Brennan's brain of the way this like very gentle storytelling was also pulling so strongly from mechanics, where it's like, hey, across the next like month and a half while you're wandering the woods with your friends, where does your attention go to? Let that be your next proficiency. So our initial proficiency set is all derived, like they're custom backgrounds, essentially. The time that we spent in the children's adventure created custom backgrounds for all three of us and helps us kind of walk into adulthood with skill sets that either really align with the person we are as an adult or are interesting deviations from the people we've become.
Now, a life path model of character building is a wonderful, like, storied way to approach different role-playing game things, but the idea of just, like, doing it forward in play in this way sounds so fun. I will allude, I think, to the children's adventure is going to live on the Patreon, but folks who would like a taste of it can already get some delicious, delicious samples in the episodes you've already released, both for the Patreon and general feed. Yes. Which sets me up to be allowed to ask, okay, but you were already rolling. And this is the nitpickiest question. When you, because you have a very memorable first couple of rolls based on the
yeah, you do.
Sample.
I cried the whole time.
Oh,
that was the first stuff we recorded. We're like, we're here, we're together. 5 minutes later, Aabria's sobbing into a mic and everyone's just looking on in horror, like, what are we doing?
There is an excellent line from Lou being like, where do we go from here?
How do we go up from this?
Yeah, how do we go up from this? We have to.
That was, I know, Amy, you have a question that you're going into here, but I want to kind of step back a couple minutes because up until Lou said, it was up until Lou said that the audience becomes aware that everybody else is at the table.
It's a little reveal that makes you,
like, we're all there the whole time, just being like, And then, of course, the moments of joy are even more fun when we very, very loudly react to them. I think that's very apparent in the wild ones. Then, where we just absolutely lost our minds with every new detail about the Great Bear. So good.
You don't have your characters yet. How are you? Are you rolling flat?
Yes, and it was bad.
Oh man.
Wow.
It's a mixture of if we had a bonus in anything, it was like a +1. I'm so sorry, it's so loud. If anything, it was a +1. And I've been rolling so badly lately. Suvi does nothing. So her sort of just sitting and crying, I was like, well, that's the only thing I think I'm going to do effectively. So let's not roll the dice as much.
Tell us what it was like to play a child, because sometimes people come in with their characters as children, but I don't think many people get the experience of like, you are playing an adult character, but you experience them first as a child. How do you feel like that shaped how you played Suvi?
The thing I wanted to do most with Suvi was show you the difference between what she was on her own, like what her natural personality was, and then the difference in her when you meet her as an adult. So original Suvi is, yes, a little girl that cries into her mother's cloak when she's scared and is precociously smart and more than a little hesitant because she's been raised. Have you ever met kids that are like raised around adults instead of around other children? Like the difference between Ame and Suvi is a little showpiece child that gets to be around adults because she's very polite, where Ame is just a feral youth unleashed on a farm. So playing this like very reserved character that constantly refuses the call to adventure because it would be disobeying what adults tell her to do. And then playing with the understanding that I was like, oh, I know who Suvi's going to be as an adult. I know the sort of like grinder she's about to be put through in her training at the Citadel, and she will come out 180 degrees different. So it's been very nice that people who have listened to like the Then and Now and seen bits of the art are already clocking the like massive difference between what you see in child Suvi, who like has little flowers in her hair and wears like a bunch of red and says red's her favorite color. And then you meet adult Suvi, who's clad entirely in blue and has a very different energy about her. She's excited to get out. She talks back to adults, very full of herself and eager to be in the world and swing the weight of the empire she represents behind her. So it was very fun getting to play a child knowing the like arc and knowing how much of the in-between no one was really going to be able to see. Like the children's adventure is a moment together that like kicks off this friendship that we'll see later. But the sort of storytelling where you know there's going to be a gap and you want to like seed as much of like what was lost in the void was a really fun challenge to play.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I love that so much. I have to ask the question that I have to ask everyone who plays a wizard, which is why a wizard, Aabria? Just a boilerplate question. Why? I gotta know.
Why not a wizard, Sarah?
I agree. Listen, we're here together.
I think in the sort of paradigm of magic that feels natural and innate, which would lean more towards sorcerers. And we do have Erica, who is playing a custom class that I will not speak to in hopes that eventually they will be here to speak for themselves about like what that arc has been like once we get a couple levels into the subclass. I guess the meanest thing I'll say is the arcane and the like wizard's understanding of art is so deep, or of the arcane is so disconnected from what's natural. You learn it. It's this thing that's rote. It's not a part of you. It's a thing you've sort of wrested from books and like speaking and knowledge and learning. It's a thing that you learn, not a thing that you know and are and have. So it felt really good to, again, on that sort of paradigm or on that sort of gradient of what magic is to the people in this group. I wanted someone for whom magic is a treasure that was sought and wrought and not a thing that they were born into.
All of this, and it's amazing, but you do say you chose something that you're not born into, but then you gave your character this beautiful legacy in that she was very much born into the tradition, but if not the power. Was that like an intentional throw it into relief?
Oh, 100%. There's the stories we tell about the people we are and the people that we came from and the worlds and cultures and society we represent. I think there's something really fun that I hope to tell with Suvi about the burden of legacy, of having to represent and grow into something and be who people expect you to be. And in that, like my favorite part of a coming of age is sort of looking at the thing that you were set up to become and then deciding again and again and again whether those values hold true, whether you're going to continue down that road or deviate. And without too many spoilers, the legacy set up for her is both like beautiful and kind, because we got that little look at Soft and Stone, her parents, and Steel, who's like family to her, but also the sort of citadel, that like tower of glass in a desert the wizards made that stands behind them and everything that comes there. And I mean, you know, systems have their place, but they tend to not be incredibly friendly. They serve goals. So being a part of this very big machine of empire will force Suvi again and again to like affirm or move away from the road that's been set in front of her.
And I noticed this in the little bits that you gave, and right there that you said your parents' Sword and Stone. What came to the decision to kind of give them these names that were pretty associated with your perception of your character? Soft and Stone, yeah. Sword and Stone. I went straight into Arthur.
No, I love it. It was really fun in this moment where Brennan asked. We hadn't discussed that before, but in asking the words that a young Suvi would associate most with her parents, it felt right to describe her father as incredibly like soft and gentle, because I think that's what you know of your parents before you are old enough to see like the ways in which like societal masculinity affects like male bearing as they move through the world. So that felt like a natural hit. And then seeing Brennan then going and saying that her mother's friend was named Steele, and I was like, oh, I see what we're doing here. There's something with wizards and the way like these names work. And we've been sort of taking that and running. And it was just like this beautiful improvised moment of there's something about wizards and using S names and hiding truths. And again, going back to that, the way you understand magic and your relationship to it, that we'll be playing a lot with the power of words and the magic of words and names. So it was very cool.
Well, we have something very exciting, which is the character sheet for Suvi. So we're going to get to take a little bit of a look at that. And Amy, if you want to peruse and look at a few things and point out some exciting details.
Yes,
we have it right here. It is also in the chat.
Thank you so much, Aabria, for sharing a copy we could look at of the actual deets on our baby slash adult.
A level 1 character sheet.
8 hit points.
So many.
Clocking in.
If she ties her shoes badly, she may die forever. Oh.
Yeah, you got a +0 strength save. It's gonna be fine.
Yeah. Hey, you guys remember Laren? This isn't Laren. Oh boy, I miss that girl every day. Every day. 8.
Okay, well that's a follow-up question because I need to know, like, would they be pals? How would that go?
Yes.
But so we've got Suvi, very human wizard, level 1.
Yes.
And this was a version you made for us where notably you might notice if you hop on over to description there, we have a background called The Witch's Cottage.
Ooh.
And some of those are secret details, but you can see over on the left here, we've got some really interesting, I guess I don't want to know the story yet because I'm going to get it soon, but carpenter's tools?
Yes.
Truly.
We will hear again in the, also this is a little underpopulated because I did before go like, well, okay. Some of that's going to be just rip it out. So this is a little bit of a skeleton.
Slightly redacted.
Hastily tidied room before your parents' friends come over.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, again, using the children's adventure as this like improvised story-based background. Suvi wasn't going to be proficient with like any sort of fine tools because again, Grandmother Wren's cottage, and you'll see it very soon, less than 12 hours, is absolutely in that like Miyazaki, beautiful, sweet, cozy little farm that Suvi, for all of her intelligence, if you'll see, I rolled very well, but then also like put good points and stats into things. Suvi, even as a small child, was rocking, I believe, a 19 int. So this was a kid that could read adult books as a 6-year-old. So she was going to become familiar with something, but it would have to be something like practical and handy because that's what Grandmother Wren was. Her magic, for all of her strength and all of her like security and safety, she's a practical magic user. So this was a fun opportunity to be like, yeah, learn something normal. It's not going to be like, I've learned Tinker's tools and I'm just sitting here with a bunch of brass objects around her. Like, no, go out there. We need you to chop some wood, grab an axe, you'll figure it out.
A fantastic context for that then library raised person who we meet itching to get out into the world. I'm curious as well. We've got some spells on your list, some very familiar ones, some classic, gotta have your magic missile, but also Irulian Bolt.
So I think the really fun thing here is to like spend time, especially when you're like, we're going to be playing these characters, wizard willing, from levels 0 to 20. So all of these spells are going to be incredibly personal. So they are standard spells. Like I don't have anything homebrewed yet, but everything just is sort of getting softly reflavored. several of the other spells have other names too that I just kind of switched them back to the normal one for the sake of this. But the Aurelian Bolt specifically, like that's a standard issue firebolt. You know, every wizard's got to have their ranged attack. And the Aurelian Desert is this massive man-made desert surrounding the citadel, that glass tower that was spoken of at the beginning of the wizard's introduction. So even in the like most basic magic, this cantrip, this battle cantrip that every wizard knows and has learned and committed to memory, has the flavor of like where you are from and comes with like the heat and status of constantly reminding you, like, we are of this desert, a place where none but us could survive. So like the firebolt is that like blast of desert heat, the grit of like glass like sand that comes with it. So getting really like having the opportunity and the time and the space to like really flavor everything that you're doing in the world, especially when you're level 1 and you're like, I can do 2 things and then I have to lay down, makes the little bit of like English you can put on them even more important.
Something in the inventory that is also very interesting. Of course, the glass staff of the Citadel, but Grandmother Wren's threadbare lilac shawl?
Yeah. Not everything in an inventory, especially for, again, like a long story-based campaign, is immediately of mechanical use. But for someone like Suvi, who, again, I think thinking into like, what does it mean to be incredibly intelligent versus incredibly wise or incredibly charismatic? I think memory and the knowing of the thing is so deeply important to her. So the memento is like a stand-in for memory for her. Like, what are the ways in which you can like bring yourself to remember something? There's some like physical mnemonics that Suvi uses to remember stuff. Like she does a lot of finger tapping to be in a moment and go like, I have to record this, find the beat of it so you can come back to it later. And I think having like little mementos of things are important too. So that just means this inventory is going to be so bloated as I loot the world while we play.
Order Wizard is a great vibe.
Do you have your eye on a subclass already? I know you probably can't tell us.
I do. And I think there is one interview where I said it, but I do want it to be just a tiny bit of a secret. The one thing I'll tell you is it's not an abjuration wizard, which broke my heart because, again, going back to Laren, I talked a lot of smack about other wizard subclasses as Laren. So then I was like, well, now I can't do it because I talked a little shit. Yeah, I didn't want to do the same thing twice. So trying to look down the list of things and see what Suvi's unique sort of context would lead her to. And I think, is there anything I can say? I will say, I think evocation was the most obvious choice, especially for like a sort of battle trained wizard. There's also like war magic. So that too, I think war magic and evocation were sort of like the very obvious choices for a wizard trained to defend the empire. And then sitting down and thinking about it a little more, I could tell you where we landed, but I think it's going to be really fun. I'm really excited.
I'm so excited. I already have one in my head that I am betting on, and we'll see if I'm right.
Ooh, nice.
Betting on it. Anyway, thank you so much, Aabria, for coming and hanging out with us and telling us all about Worlds Beyond Numbers. So fantastic. Where can we find all the information on this amazing podcast that is coming out?
You can catch Worlds Beyond Number. Our episode 1 will drop literally tonight at midnight. You can pick it up wherever you get your podcasts. If you have it in your heart and finances to support us, you can do so over on Patreon. We have a single $5 tier called Fireside, and that comes with chatbacks after every episode and a bunch of bonus content, including the children's campaign, which also goes live at midnight tonight. And, just a bunch of very silly stuff. When we did our Patreon launch a month ago, we may have gotten into a bunch of weird bits. Okay, so this is the problem when you have a bunch of improvisers. Like a bit will start and no one knows how to back off the bit.
I really
Bit
wondered
chicken.
if we were going to get out of this interview without talking about Cram Daniel.
We have to talk about Cram Daniel. Cram Daniel is going to happen. Space Cram, colon, reasonable hoop dreams is absolutely coming down the pipeline. I've already done so much work on it because there was a universe for quite a long while where we were thinking that maybe we would have to play actual basketball as an RPG.
So this was an impulsive promise for those who were not lucky enough to be watching this unfold on live, which I did get to see a piece of and was very delighted by. And you said you would do what?
I said that if we reached a certain number of patrons in the first day, I would run a one shot for Cram Daniel, Hoop Star, and his best friend and dog, Slam Daniels, and his rival, None Ya Business. Ooh, it's so bad every time you hear a new detail. And we hit the mark. So we are doing a one shot of it that I'm going to run. And, we're going to figure out how to add some sort of basketball element to it too, because that's too funny. I will make these little nerds play sports.
Yes.
That's good for me. Remember, be a chaotic DM. They can't out chaos you if you come in the gate like, here's a basketball. Let's go live your reasonable hoop dream right now. So that's coming too. And then we have a bunch of little one shots and a few shots planned to, give everyone a little chance to tell lots of story, to give Brennan little breaks every now and then, because we are in this for the long haul. But the whole point of it being called Worlds Beyond Number was the idea that this is not one GM's sort of time to sit and tell stories. We are all going to be telling big, epic, sprawling stories and interspersing them with lots of different kinds of storytelling. The joy here is the storytelling, and we want to do as much of that for as long as we can. And everyone that's been so supportive up to this point is allowing us to do that. So we're all deeply grateful and so excited to do everything because we're best friends, and this is our excuse to hang out with each other.
Yeah, and we're so excited
many GMs,
to be there.
Many worlds. I'm so excited.
Yeah. So good. And for all of y'all that follow us over on the D&D Beyond Twitter, we are going to be doing a live tweet of the first episode tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be a real fun time.
Oh,
yeah. Thank you all so much for joining us today on D&D Live. Again, Aabria, thank you for coming and talking with us.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I have been your host for today, Sarah, the community manager. My other hosts.
Hey, it's me. I'm the community manager on the D&D side, but really we're both just community managers for D&D doing the dang thing. This has been awesome, Aabria. Thank you for coming. And I'm going to pass it to Amy, who's actually above me.
So well.
I'm Amy Dallin. You know me from the channel. We are here. We are back on Tuesdays doing these streams. Thank you so much for joining us. We're hoping to bring in lots more of our pals, but we had to make sure we could steal somebody to come talk to us about Worlds Beyond Number and pretend that was work-related.
I fought the other ones, and I was like, me, it's going to be me. Again, if we're going to do sports about it, I will wrestle everyone to the ground to get to hang out with you. That's good.
That's canon. I'm assuming it happened behind the scenes. That link to Suvi is running through chat. I can't wait for more of this adventure. Thank you so much for joining us, Aabria.
So excited.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you, chat. And with that, goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.